Hello, everyone. It's Charlton. So they just wrapped up the press conference. They've identified the suspect and he's been charged with first-degree murder and the killing of Mollie Tibbetts, even though she hasn't been positively, identified by DNA yet. But they're fairly next to certain that it's her. And this is the individual who's been charged right now. His name is Cristhian Bahena Rivera. He's 24 years old. He is an illegal alien, and he's been in the United States, he said, for 4 to 7 years, living in the Poweshiek rural area. That was one question that didn't get asked that I would have asked myself, is where does he live? And but I suspect there's pictures of, this is his Facebook page. I'm going to go through some of the photos and avoid anybody but him. So and it really did. It happened more or less the way a lot of people thought, but it was while she was jogging, and it happened around 8:30 that evening. They spoke to him. They interviewed him yesterday. That's how quickly this thing happened. Once they got a hold of him and talked to him, and I think without incident, he more or less ended up confessing to it with an interpreter, as I understand it. I don't think he speaks English or very good English. I don't know. But apparently, the way they located him, a member of the public, provided some surveillance video footage to the authorities that had Mollie jogging by the screen in their video. And then there was a car that was following Mollie, on the night in question, July 18th, around 8:30 p.m. And the car was a black Malibu, which he was driving. And they were able to identify the car and eventually, put it to him. And that's how they finally caught up with him. They got that video about 1 to 2 weeks ago, according to, I think it's Agent Ron, who's been overseeing who oversees the Division of Criminal Investigation in Iowa, if I got that right. So. And reportedly, he told the authorities, I'm going to play that portion of the press conference, what the story he gave to them, that he followed her in the vehicle and then at some point got out of the vehicle and sort of interfaced with Mollie, and was, as the agent put it, and was literally either running alongside of her or behind her. And I think at that point, Mollie had gotten so scared that she literally pulled the phone off of her armband and said, if you don't leave me alone, I'm going to call the police. And she ran away, and he pursued her, and then according to the authorities, that's where he blacks out, and he doesn't regain consciousness, according to what he tells the authorities, until he's at the intersection where they've located the body, overnight or early morning hours. I don't know if it was overnight or this morning, and they put up that roadblock at 5 a.m. this morning at, I think it's 460th and Highway 21. And I'll show you on the map in a second. First, let me just play just a little bit of the press conference where he describes exactly what I described to you, but just so you can hear it from, I think his name is Agent Ron. I forget his first name. He's been in several press conferences. He answered a lot of questions, and although a lot of it he couldn't answer. And I'm going to try to get to everything that he went through right now. But first, just let me play this real quick. Just a little portion.
Well, again, we were able to pull him in during the investigation. We conducted a lengthy interview with Mr. Rivera. And during that interview, he tells us that he sees Mollie running and was able to come upon her, approach her. And while he was interfacing with her, he actually tells us that he ran alongside of her or behind her. And then at one point, he tells us that Mollie grabbed a hold of her phone and said, "You need to leave me alone. I'm going to call the police." And then she took off running. He, in turn, chased her down. And then he tells us that at some point in time, he blacks out. And then he comes to near an intersection in which we believe he then placed Mollie. I'm sorry? On 385th Street in Brooklyn, outside of Brooklyn, actually, in the rural county.
So That is one of the pink circles on the edge of Brooklyn, near her house, near the boyfriend's house, and I'm going to pull that up right now. According to the press conference, this individual, Cristhian Bahena Rivera, he had seen her before. This wasn't the very first time, so he had seen her jogging in the past, at least on one occasion, according to that press conference. So let me put myself down here. Here's Brooklyn, and first let me just zoom in because I want to bring you both to where it happened and to where the body was found, even though that's in the previous. This is the 385th Avenue, so it would have been right in this area, I believe, where where the assault took place. And this is the electric company, I believe, and the boyfriend lives very close to there as well, where she was staying. So I believe on this road, there's not many homes nearby. It just happened at a period of night, 8:30, where just nobody saw it. And and then from there, the body was taken to bearings back again, and we were just looking at Brooklyn, the western section on 385th Avenue, near where the boyfriend lives. That stretch where there's not a lot of houses. I believe that's where the assault took place, and then the body, and he supposedly lost, he just blacks out and doesn't come to until he's here. And let me put myself back down. So you're gonna focus on. There's Brooklyn. Here's Guernsey, and here's this little body of water, and there's the Lincoln Wildlife area or refuge right there, and that's where the reporter was this morning at Highway 21 and 460th, which is right here, and her camera yesterday with the roadblock. I mean, this morning was facing this way, showing you that road, and the body was placed in there somewhere off that 460th, Highway 21 intersection. In cornfields. That's why that was asked. Why didn't they find? And this is a different time. This isn't when. This isn't the same time. This picture from Google satellites. There's not a lot of corn grown there right now. But presently there is. So that's where the body was hidden. Was in a cornfield. One of the cornfields. That's where they were up in this area today. That's where we saw some vehicles. But I don't know that that's where they located the body. And some corn stalks were placed over the body. So to the best of my knowledge, I mean, all this time, it's been there. Mollie's body's been there, from day one, from July 18th. And so to just go over some of the other details that he went over in the press conference, he is an illegal alien. Actually, let me show you his Facebook page, and there's a couple different. He's got some weapons on his page. I have no idea. They look like one looks like a Soviet-made AK-47. I understand that that's an illegal weapon, I believe, but that's what it looks like. And let me just kind of show you some of the pictures. I'm going to stop here and then go to another Facebook page so that I don't show you anybody but him. Right there. I mean, I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's an AR-15, even though that doesn't look like an AR-15. That looks like a real machine gun, but I don't know weapons. And that looks like, like a Soviet-made, something. AK-47, I really don't know. I don't know weapons, but that's pictured on his webpage. I don't know if that's actually in his where he lives, on his own bed. There's a cell phone there and some other stuff. But that's what it appears to be, even though you have this notation down there. I'm not absolutely sure. So, and there's just a couple more pictures of him. I assume that's where he lives, somewhere in rural Poweshiek County. I don't know if he's just renting or what. I'm sure we'll learn that more and more. And there's that same picture again, and there he is in his house, it looks like, and I think that's the extent of it. One more, and then there's okay. So let me just quickly run down all the things that he discussed and most of it I already have. They spoke to him just yesterday. So from the time they got that surveillance video, it took some time to ID the car and put it to him sometime and get him in there to interview him. But supposedly he pretty much went without incident. Homeland Security was somehow involved in this because he's an undocumented, immigrant, illegal immigrant, and they are involved in this. He's charged with first-degree murder, but that carries a sentence, at least in the state of Iowa, from what he said, life without the chance of parole. So I did not hear the death penalty on the table. I don't think it is in the state of Iowa. I haven't even looked that up. I mean, I could probably do that quickly while I continue to go through these things. Abolished, in 1965, Governor Harold Hughes signed a bill that abolished Iowa's death penalty a second time. Since then, numerous attempts have been made to reinstate it. So, according to that, Iowa does not have the death penalty, and that's probably why he's just facing the maximum of life without the chance of parole, if convicted. The vehicle he was driving that was following was a black Malibu. The agent Ron said that the surveillance footage was key, and it was everything into locating him. And without that, I don't know. This might have gone on for much, much longer. His name, Cristhian Bahena Rivera. And I think I pretty much went over everything that's discussed in, obviously it's an absolute shame. I think you're going to hear a lot more about this, and it's just terrible, just terrible. All right, well that's the story there, man. Thanks for watching my videos. Well, I will say it's interesting from all the rumors that were floating around. The pig farmer, he's been vindicated, or whatever the word is, and a lot of people, including myself, didn't necessarily think it, but it just thought it was, just the interview, and just because of the nature of being interviewed in that kind of situation, you're very uncomfortable. So, but he's been, he was one that was rumored, and there was others, and I mean, recently that I hadn't even heard of until today, and I was picking up the rumors from various places, Reddit being the most prominent one, and they were pretty sure over there. They had me convinced too, and they were dead wrong. So, word to the wise for myself too. Rick Ron, just so I get his name right, Rick Ron is his name. He's the special agent in charge of the Iowa Division of Criminal Investigation. And, he conducted the press conference. Here is the individual pictured right there. That's his booking photo. Cristhian Bahena Rivera. And he's pictured here as well. And that is everything that I know so far. I'm sure we're going to learn more of the details, even though they provided a fair amount in terms of, her condition, how she was killed, and all those things. A lot of those things they would not release. And, it's obviously just an awful shame. It really is. The family, it just has to be just destroyed. All right, well, that's the end of this video. Thanks for watching my videos. As soon as I know more, I will make an updated video. Please subscribe to my channel. Give me a like down below. I'll see you in the next video. Later, man.